The Leafs couldn't find a way to beat the Ottawa Senators this year. Will Morgan Rielly be suspended for his actions late in the third period against the Ottawa Senators? And was tonight the last time we see some of these Leafs in Maple Leafs uniforms? Guys, welcome back to Leafs Digest. My name is Darius Domingues, and we've noticed that about 80% of you are not actually subscribed to the channel. And you know what? We get it. Sometimes you watch the video and you're so entrenched in it, you enjoy it so much that you just forget to hit that subscribe button and the notification bell. But you know what? Go ahead and do that now to stay up to date with everything Toronto Maple Leafs. And you're going to want to, because the trade deadline is right around the corner. But guys, without further ado, I'm a little bit heated because the game just ended. This is like, raw reaction to what just happened. And I do not like losing to the Ottawa Senators. It does not feel good. So we'll get right into it. The Leafs just couldn't find a way to beat Ottawa this year. Ottawa just seemed to have their number, beating them pretty handsomely in each game, if I do say so myself. But you know what? We're going to start with some positives, and then we're going to roll on to, obviously, the later scenes in the game, which it got pretty ugly at the end. And I have some thoughts about that. And I know a lot of you will too, so let me know in the comments, obviously. But to start off, Austin Matthews scored his 42nd goal of the season in Ottawa on February 10th. The last time the Sens player had that many in one campaign was Danny Heatley when he hit 50 goals in 2006, 2007. So Chris Johnson here, just passively aggressively dunking on the Senators a little bit, which I like. But Austin Matthews gets on the board right away. I love the pass from Mitch Marner. It was nice. I thought that whole line was pretty good tonight. I thought Matthew Nice had a really good game compared to the last little while. So that's good to see as well. Obviously, he scored. We'll get into that in a bit. But that was honestly fantastic. And I mean, they scored the first goal, and I love the huge reaction from the crowd. I love it when the Leafs play in Ottawa. I just wish they won there a little bit more. But the crowd reactions there are always awesome because it's the diehards. They can afford the tickets there, and it's always the people making the most noise and the real fans there. So I love that. I love to see Leaf games in Ottawa because it's going to be jam-packed with Maple Leafs fans all the time making noise, especially when it's a Saturday night, which is great. To move on a little bit, Max Domi, I thought he had a great game as well. Got a goal. He should have had another one. It was disallowed, but he was buzzing out there. I thought he had a great game as well. I thought he looked like Matthew Nyes, where he was a little bit more noticeable than previous games, which is a good sign. I think they need a little bit more scoring from their bottom six, so that was good. And I mean, the goal that he got that actually stood was great. Great pressure shift from the third line. I really like what they've been doing. Big fan of Robertson myself. I just in our previous videos and our trade talk, I just don't know if he fits in with Sheldon Keefe. I don't know if Sheldon Keefe likes that player right now, especially defensively. But in my personal bias, love Nick Robertson. I love everything he brings to the table. And honestly, that was a great shift. Noah Gregor getting in on the action too, which he's been on the the front of some criticism as well. So nice to see everyone chip in there. And it was a great shift. You like to see that. The Leafs score a lot of their goals off the rush. And that was the type of thing where they had sustained pressure for about 30 seconds or so. They kept the puck in a couple times, cycled it around, came out in front, nice goal. Max Domi finishes it off, and that was great. But to build off that, I think, had it counted, as David Alter says here, it would have been Domi's second goal in 20 games. And now that he scored tonight, with his technically his second goal, but I guess his first goal of the night, you get a sense that he and the secondary scorers would like to have that one stand. And obviously he did get the second goal, but I brought up that tweet just because that is not a lot of goal scoring in the last 20 games. That is barely anything. I think the bottom six needs to get going a little bit. You don't expect too much from the fourth line, and honestly, I've liked what Reeves has brought the last little while as well, since coming back from injury, including the Winnipeg games, obviously scoring, but he's looked a little bit more full of life, and he's throwing the body around and getting into it, which is good. More like the first two games, right? So you don't expect too much out of that fourth line, but the third line's got to get going too. I think missing Yarncroke is a big deal. He's been really good, the unsung hero of the season as well. Just chipping in here and there, right? I'm not saying he's Austin Matthews or anything, scoring 50 goals, but they're missing him, I think, a little bit. And it was nice to see Max Domi get going because we just saw it with Tavares. He got, on the board in Winnipeg. Now he's rolling a little bit. He's getting more chances, but that was the other thing I wanted to talk to too. John Tavares. So many chances tonight. The guy can't bury. I'm not going to blame him. I'm not going to bury him right now, but man, at some point he's got to pick it up right on the score sheet. Not in terms of play. I mean, he's playing well, I think. But it's just unlucky, man. He had so many good chances in the first period, just can't bury. He easily could have had like a hat trick in this game with quality chances. So that was another story of the game. But the biggest story of the game, I think, was the refs, which I hate talking about that. Usually I'm on the side of you play above the refs. The refs are what they are. Obviously, they dictate the game in some ways, right? They obviously put their whistles away for this one. But usually I'm, play above the refs. No matter what is thrown at you, whether it's the other team or the refs, try to play above that. I think that's the best course of action. That's all you can do. It's all you can control. But honestly, I don't know if they have like a personal vendetta against McCabe, especially the last couple of games, but the high stick or the late hit in the last game against Dallas that was uncalled, which is a blindside hit. And then this one, there was a high stick, which Ottawa scored on right after. Just ridiculous. I mean, you got to call something. The Leafs walked away from this game with 0 power plays. I think that's a little ridiculous. It's getting a little crazy. And I mean, it makes McCabe and Benoit, that pairing, which is usually pretty good. They're usually very good. Like, I find that they suffocate opponents really well, and they don't give opponents too much, and they're physical, which I love. I mean, they're the most physical pairing on the Leafs by far. I mean, probably the only physical pairing, really. So they've been having a great tenure together, I think. And honestly, tonight, like, Benoit was -3, didn't look that great. And me and Nick, if I can bring it up, have been on the Simone Benoit train. But tonight, not a good night to be on the Simone Benoit train, but I love to bring it up. But yeah, McCabe, like, honestly, they've been playing well, and it just makes them look bad because he takes a high stick and then Ottawa scores right after. Not great. Don't like to see that. To move on, Nyes gets back in the goal column, like I mentioned. That was nice to see. But again, the refs kind of dictated the game in a way in this game, right? The Leafs kind of looking for power plays, not sure if it was going to come. And then obviously, we'll get into it, right? Sheldon Keefe calling Tim Stützle the biggest diver in the effing NHL. Did you see that? Bleep. For the sake of just bleeping it out. Did you see that bleep? Sheldon Keefe was not happy. And I mean, Tim Stützle has gotten that reputation around the league now that he is a bit of a diver. And I mean, it worked for him there. They called it, but in a game where it was so tight and there was only one penalty and it was on Nylander. And listen, it was a penalty, but based on what was let go, come on, right? The fact that was called as well, tough for the Leafs. You'd like to see something go their way. So hate to see the refs dictating the game in that way. So that was really tough to see. But I mean, to move on, right at the end, is Morgan Rielly going to get suspended? That is the question of the hour. I won't spend too much time on this because it just happened. We don't know. We'll see the fallout tomorrow in the coming days. But I mean, Ridley Greig goes in on the empty net and takes a slap shot right in the crease into the net. Now, to break it down on my personal feelings on the situation, don't do that. That's a hot dog move. They teach you, like, in the first day of hockey ever, to not do stuff like that. It's don't pass through the middle, and don't do that. And he did that. So is he wrong? In my eyes, yes. Right? Don't do that. Is Morgan Rielly right for cross-checking him in the head? I wouldn't say so. There's been some reactions so far, right? You have James Myrtle saying, not sure what Rielly was thinking there. It's going to be a suspension. And honestly, I agree, because he kind of Dale Huntered him into the boards right after a goal. It's pretty much the same thing. Not as vicious, maybe. I don't know. I'd have to compare them, but it might be up there. But Morgan Rielly's not in the right either. Now, I think there could be a response to that, because taking a slap shot into an empty net when you've already won the game, there's 5 seconds left. That's a hot dog move. I don't like that, right? But some people seem to think that Morgan Rielly is in the right as well, right? So, I'm going to lean onto the side that they are both wrong. I don't think you should take a slap shot into an empty net with 5 seconds left from inside the crease. And I don't think you should come along and cross-check the guy in the head. Have some words, right? Don't let it go. This is the thing we've been talking about with the Leafs, and I've been talking about it as well for years and years, the toughness thing and battling in front of the net and the scrums after the whistles, do stuff like this. People have been calling for stuff like this, but I don't know if you should cross-check the guy in the head, because now you're probably going to get suspended. And Morgan Rielly is a guy that the Leafs really need. They can't afford to lose him, because you just dropped another 2 points to a bad team in the Ottawa Senators. The Ottawa Senators are battling with Columbus at the bottom of the standings, and you just dropped another 2 points in a tight Atlantic Division race with them. And now you're probably going to be without Morgan Rielly for 2 to 4 games, maybe. That is not something to be taken lightly. It's not something that happened during play. It's after a goal. I don't think what Greig did is right. But Morgan Rielly hitting the guy in the head, I like the response. I just don't like what he did. Does that make sense? I don't know. Let me know in the comments what you think of the whole situation. I like the fact that there was a response. I just don't know if it was the correct response. But again, I don't think you can do that. And some of the Leafs, I think they're tired, man. I think Morgan Rielly is tired of the disrespect. So I would have, had some words, maybe some pushing and shoving, but maybe not a cross check to the head. So hopefully the Leafs are not without him for a long time, but I think it's going to be looked at by the league. He might get suspended. But anyway, let me know in the comments what you think. The Leafs drop another 2 points to the Ottawa Senators. They just can't beat that team. I don't know what it is this year. You would like to see it, but yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. Morgan Rielly, will he be suspended? Hopefully not. And what you think of the Leafs going forward. What can they do to help them? I think a trade is on the way, and I think it's going to come sooner than later. Could it be the Flames? Could it be the Philadelphia Flyers? I think we'll find out in the next coming days or month, because trade deadline is right around the corner. And we'll be back this week for some more trade videos, so stay tuned for that.